Women's marches on Saturday in support of female empowerment drew crowds across the country, including here in Washington, D.C.
Okay, are we ready for a great victory for women? I thought so. We march, we run, we vote, we win.
The movement began last year following the president's inauguration. Protests were held in cities, including Los Angeles and New York, and in the snow in Park City, Utah, where the crowd included actress Jane Fonda. Genevieve Wood, senior advisor at the Heritage Foundation, a conservative think tank, joins us now. Welcome back to the program.
Good to be here.
Happy New Year to you.
Same there.
The Media Research Center, which is a conservative think tank that identifies liberal bias, found that march that we were just looking at, the networks, the broadcast networks on Saturday spent 6 minutes and 43 seconds covering it. And the March for Life, 2 minutes and 6 seconds. Why? When this Marist poll that just came out shows that 3 out of 4 Americans believe there should be restrictions on abortions.
Because the media doesn't agree with that. I mean, the mainstream media, and yes, it's true, Media Research Center may be conservative, but they count the minutes, they count the seconds that each network, evening news, morning news, does in covering a whole host of things, and you just can't deny those facts. And this is, I mean, Lauren, this is true this year, but it's also true last year. I mean, the march goes on year after year. Hundreds of thousands of people have marched in Washington over the years in the March for Life, and yet they almost pretend that doesn't happen. CBS didn't cover it at all.
And I remember hosting the coverage last year, and people were taking EWTN's all day long coverage because nobody else had footage of it. All right, let's move on. I will be talking about that more later in the program. President Trump, he addressed the March for Life. First sitting president to ever address the March for Life.
Which makes it even more outrageous that it didn't get the coverage it should have gotten.
That's exactly right. And it's a sea change, people were telling me, and has been an inspiration to the movement. But those who are pro-life do not always agree with his immigration views. And I'm wondering how those two are related, and how do they cross each other in any way?
Well, look, we want to be respectful of all life, but there is a difference between unborn children who haven't done anything wrong and people who are in this country illegally. I mean, there are differences here. That doesn't mean that you don't treat people with respect, but there are ways to look at things legislatively to make sure you're being respectful of all involved, not just one group over another.
The Senate reached a compromise today, ending our shutdown, making us have a lot of traffic tomorrow in Washington, D.C., but that's just a very small part of this, a very small part. But they still have to resolve this immigration issue, as you were talking about. And you recently wrote an op-ed saying Democrats really don't want a deal on immigration. Why not?
Well, Lauren, look, there was 2 years at the beginning of President Obama's term where the Democrats controlled Congress and they had the White House. They did absolutely nothing when it came to immigration reform, even though they had talked a lot about doing it. Democrats want to give people legal status, but they don't want to do what is the necessary work of securing the border and making sure that we're enforcing our laws so that we don't have this problem again 5 years from now, 10 years from now. Immigration reform needs to be both. We need to make sure that we're taking the measures to ensure we don't have an illegal immigration problem 5 years from now. A whole population like the DACA population that's here today, if we don't want to have that problem again, we need to make sure our borders are secure. Then we can deal with those who are already here.
Thank you so much. Genevieve Wood, senior advisor at the Heritage Foundation.